Thank you for joining me on How You Slice It, Maggie Mieles. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
It goes without saying, but in the shop that we're going to talk about today needs no introduction. Fara Pizza, the legendary institution in Brooklyn. Tell me more about Fara just as an intro, and then we'll get into some of the questions.
So Fara was established by my father in 1965. At that time, he had partners. Our actual last name was DeMarco. A lot of people ask us how Fara came about. So when my dad came to the U.S. in 1959, he started working on a farm. He grew up on a farm in Italy, and he came to the U.S. with the American dream, like many others. And he had a childhood friend whose name was Frank Farina, and also my uncle, my dad's brother. They all came into the U.S. together with that American dream. And so he worked on a farm in Huntington when he first came here. And then he made his way out to Brooklyn and worked in a pizzeria. He had that passion. He had that hard work ethic. And so he decided he wanted to open his own place. And he originally was looking at a spot in a different area in Brooklyn. He tells the story that he was in a car and they were driving by Avenue J in Midwood, and he saw like crowds of people, and he gave up the spot that he put the down payment on, and he saw the empty location, and he and Frank Farina became partners. And so the attorney at the time fusioned the two names. So D from DeMarco, my dad's last name, and then Fara from Farina. It's been a very, very great place, not because of the name, because of the passion and the hard work, and my dad's motivation to just take care of his family. I'm one of 7 kids, and we grew up at the Fara.
That story is so powerful. Tell us a little bit about your dad and what you think made him so great and such an icon at his work, but also obviously then generally across the industry.
Well, when he opened the location, he was starting a family. Obviously, we weren't born all at the same time, but so his hard work and when he grew up as a farmer, he always told my siblings and I the story how they would get up before daylight because it gets too hot, this and that. And that's where all the ingredients, like the fresh ingredients, that's where his desire to, use best fresh ingredients. And he really he loved cooking in general. And because not just the pizza, he taught us to be incredible cooks as well. But he also grew up with six siblings. So there was kind of the built-in family, hopefully friendships there. And he worked 7 days a week in the very beginning for a very, very long time, with the exception of Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving and all the, New Year's, all the holidays that
pizza holidays.
Pizza holidays, exactly. Okay. That's the way I have to word it in the future.
That's right.
But yes, the pizza holidays. And so he worked 14-hour days, and the goal was really to just take care of my mom. She was a stay-at-home mom, but his love for cooking and craft, that's when the signs of this. He is not just someone who cooks. He is an artist. He's an artist with a brilliant madness. He used to, there are times where, he was always playing with ingredients, looking for something better. And the pizza, we were always known as like the best pizza locally in the area in Brooklyn where the, the original location was established. And so that was already special and unique in how there's so many pizzerias in Brooklyn, so many pizzerias on the same block. So he just kept at it, and And I always tell people, when you become good at something, keep it up. And we're all human. So there are days where we might not love what we do, but you got to push yourself. And so he was good at it. Eventually, he just became great at it. And then he would always look for local best ingredients, all small batch, nothing, nothing commercialized, no shortcuts. And then he just became extraordinary at it. And that became recognized. Without him, that wasn't the goal. The goal was to just support his family and then one child after another. And so that's really, the passion that he had, and he loved his work. He didn't rush anything. Every pizza was like a painting to him. No two pizzas. First of all, the pizzas are rarely round, ever perfectly round. Nothing cookie cutter. If you get a pie with a topping, like we, for example, I'll use the pepperoni as an example. Our pepperoni is hand cut. It's not pre-sliced package. And so if you order a pie of 8 slices, one slice could have 5 pepperonis on it. One slice could have 2 pepperonis on it. So that's where his work became more of an art. And so no two pizzas looked alike. In 59 years unfortunately, he passed away in 2022. So, but 50 something years of standing in the same spot, doing the same thing over and over and over again with, a special mind, I'm going to say. It just happened.
Incredible. And I love the imperfect aspect. The best pizza is imperfect, in fact, and each one should feel somewhat unique, which makes the Fara so special. Was there a moment where, like a tipping point, where things went from a traditional pizza shop that's doing well to then some big break that happened, or some moment that happened that led to this new heights for the shop and for your dad?
Yes, I'm going to say, so as I mentioned before, we were always known as a great pizzeria on the block, great pizzeria in Brooklyn. There were many pizzerias in the location. The neighborhood changed over time. It was a lot of struggles, just like any other family, whether you have a restaurant or whatever else your career path is. We had so many struggles. It was hard to make it because we pay rent there, and we still pay rent there. And there were times where I even went out and got 3 jobs when I was in my 30s to help support the family. So locally, people talk to each other and they talk about pizza, but obviously with the internet and then food blogging, the first notification, not verbally, but actually written, was in a book in 1999. And that was a very special moment for us. The book was The Eclectic Greater Guide to New York Food. I might have some of the words mixed up, but so that was such a special moment for us because it was actually written somewhere. And it brought so much pride to us. And how do you know you're doing something good? When people tell you. And my dad always was very, very humble. And I try to carry myself that same way. Hopefully I do at most times. And that book, that was like a big thing for us. And then Zagat was known as the food Bible, and we got top pizzeria, and that was very special. What I think separated us from so many others, and there's amazing. I think my dad actually set the bar for many younger pizzerias that are just start-off pizzas or in business a few years. I think he really set the bar for that, and that is such a form of flattery. I think that's why pizza became a lot more than what it used to be. Just, So after the book, then there's food blogging, and we would start to read, and it motivated you even more not to stay at the top, because everybody deserves a chance at being at the top, but to remain with that same that same integrity. Because a few years back, I was, we do many interviews, and I'm grateful for that. It's not anything we aimed for. It's not anything my father looked for. And one of the things I always say is, when someone like copies you, that's something that you should be proud of. Whereas others may feel like, oh, that's not right. Now I gotta be better than that. So my father had so many stories, and there's just 50 something years that I'm trying to cut in, taking a shortcut, I guess I have to for time, for the time window that we have. And then we kept reading about it. We kept getting awards and a lot of press, and it's reputation maintenance now. Because I said we got best in Brooklyn. That was an honor. Best in New York. Wow. Best in America. Oh my. Yeah. Wow.
Well deserved.
And then we even got best in the world, where we, I'm so grateful that we're able to keep that reputation stable, where it's not easy, especially with the ingredients that we use, and the ingredients, and my siblings and I know to keep that recipe, keep those ingredients, no matter how much the cost goes up. We do the best we can. We're going to struggle. We're human. We're still a family-run small business, even though the brand has expanded.
Let's talk about that a little bit. I have to imagine. I will say. I'm pretty confident your dad would be really proud of the way that you all are continuing the legacy and the hard work with running Fara. But I have to imagine that pressure sometimes can become overwhelming. Talk a little bit more about what it's like to now take over and be the leader of the shop and brand and institution, and perhaps the pressures that come along with that.
I had already started being the person that would have to have many responsibilities and wear many different hats and not stand in one place and make pizza all day. There's so many moving parts to what I do, from paperwork to day-to-day operations. But I'm lucky that I have so many siblings, because we all play a huge part. And we still get the greatest reviews, this and that, and I'm so proud of that. And we know we're doing a great job. When COVID happened, and I have to bring that up because that's when things changed a little bit, whereas everything was takeout and delivery, all these third-party apps. My dad would never be able to deal with these third-party apps, by the way. But Slice, obviously, is our favorite.
Thank you.
Yes, and much simpler than most of those apps. But they were necessary. It was necessary during COVID because we had to shut our doors. And at first, I felt like, oh, we're going to have some time off. No, not that I was looking for that time off, but we were so grateful because we were able to stay in business, keep people on payroll, pay our bills, and so it all happened during that was like the refresh button, I think, because there was no longer the snipping of the basil. We had to pre-snip the basil because it was takeout. So there was no more of that show that people came to see in the video where you're snipping the basil, which my dad did. But during COVID, no one was allowed in. So you had to pre-cut the basil. So that was the only thing that changed. And then to reopen and interact and all the videos and all the photos, it was a little bit overwhelming, especially for my siblings, because I'm not there behind that counter as much as I used to be, because I'm dealing with all the other parts of the business. And my mom is 81 years old, and losing our dad was the hardest thing we ever had to face. But I think based on what we're doing, I mean, we're not children, we're not teenagers, and we're putting that same hard work into it. If we have to wash dishes because things are, so I think keeping the Fara reputation is something that we are doing an amazing job at. And I'm not sure if you know, just recently, we had the tremendous honor, special ceremony of them naming the street corner after my dad.
I was going to talk about that specifically. Let's talk a little bit more about that, because it was. I mean, I don't want to steal your thunder. I was following on social media, saw it in the news. I mean, just an incredible moment. Talk more about what exactly happened, and then what that means to you and your family.
So my mom always kept saying, "Oh, maybe we can get the corner named after him." Unfortunately, you have to wait for someone to be deceased for that recognition. And then when my father passed away, she asked me, she goes, "Reach out to someone. Can you reach out to someone, see if we can get the street named after him?" I never did. My answer was, in time, eventually I'll do that. Let's give it time. And then the councilman's office reached out to us, and I'm going to say May or June. And my heart just fell. My mom wasn't in the room with me at that time, but I couldn't wait to tell her the news. And they said, did we want to do it in July or August? And I said, well, if we're going to push it out that far, September 22nd will be our 59th anniversary on that corner. Can we do this in September? We did it on September 21st, which was a Saturday, because there's less traffic and they closed off the streets. And I'm still in awe. And it's several days later. The ceremony, the words, the speeches, it was just really a special moment. And the bittersweet part of it is that the sign will outlive all of us, because the sign will be there forever. And the sign was named DeMarco Way, because Domenico is his name, but everyone knew him as Dom. And it's his way. So I was happy that they said way, not road or street.
Yeah, and it's his way. Exactly.
Yeah,
so powerful, and such an honor, I can imagine. So as you look forward now, I think there's always some pressures to modernize the business. You touched a little bit on the need for third-party delivery apps. How do you think about the balance between maintaining the history and what makes Fara special, while also innovating for the changing needs of the customer?
Also very bittersweet, because those that came into the pizzeria in 1965, that generation will be gone. And then the next generation, maybe people that brought their children there, and people that I saw grow up there, customers that I know since they're a little baby, things like that. The unfortunate part is that social media is the only way in the future, probably, to get that story out there. And so Facebook, Instagram, I've no experience in any of the social media, but I'm the one who's doing it, because I feel I know the facts, I know the stories, and my siblings, of course, as well. Responding to Google reviews, it's a lot. It's all, that's the way to get the story out there. And now the street sign, I mean, that when people see that, that will be definitely a part of history. And it's challenging, because we're keeping the same old school, ideas and traditions without the shortcuts, but we have to add that modern touch to it. So I think we're doing a good job at it. I think there's enough of us that we grew up there. We had to see my father years ago when he worked 7 days a week, and we were, children and then teenagers. We had to be at the Fara to spend time with our father. So it's challenging because of, again, like the internet. My dad wouldn't know what that even is, and even though I would show him, and
yeah,
definitely if you heard like the all the apps beeping, this and that. But as long as you have the willpower and the determination to keep at something, even on the days you feel you can't do it, just push through.
Like your dad did for so many years. Yeah.
Yes. And one thing about my dad that I always find funny to this day is, do you know that they make the pizza boxes? You've tried all the rest. Now try the best.
Yeah.
And now we never ordered custom boxes. For a little while we did, but we basically we would just order from our purveyors or whoever's them. And if he would tell me, make sure we never have those boxes, because let them tell you you're the best. And so
That's incredible.
Yeah, I always love that, sharing that story. And then the other thing is when customers come in and they say, "We hear you have the best pizza," my response was always, "That's what they say." And later on, I would hear my dad repeating that same sentence. And then you get the people that say, do you ever get sick and tired of hearing that you're the best?" And I say, no, that's what gets me out of bed every day. That's what motivates me to keep going and keep doing this and continuing to do this. And my siblings as well. Like I said, we're doing this since we're little kids.
And I mean, you're doing a great job. And I love that. I love that saying that that's what they say, because that's really what matters. It's not necessarily what we think of ourselves, but it really is how we show up for others and for the community. I think a lot of people are always want to know what a typical day is like in the shop today. In a summarized version, what is it like being in the shop today?
It's like you're the band and it's a concert. And I don't think I might have said it that way. It's fun because we have so much fun together. And when we disagree, there's so much passion in that disagreeing. When we agree, there's so much passion in that agreeing. There's no middle. People have a great time there. People say it's like stepping into, they become family instantly. And the response is, so satisfying. So it's hectic. And it used to just be my dad and I and one of my brothers in the back. We've expanded the amount of people that are there because it is kind of hectic. And although we have that same work ethic that my dad had, there's just different roles that everybody plays. It's exhausting.
Exhausting, yep.
But it's exhausting for good reasons. And as I mentioned, we didn't set out to be a world-known brand. My dad didn't set out to do that. He just loved what he did, and he will always say that. And I tell it's funny because a lot of people, loving what you do is not always easy. So I have some, friends and others and people that I know or people that I will eventually know. And I always tell them, if you don't love what you do now, love what it does for you. So, it supports you. And then on the side, do the things that you love. And maybe if you keep at it, you'll end up where you want to be.
That is great advice. And I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
As you look forward, what's in store for the future of Fara? Is it more locations? Is it, just continuing the legacy? What excites you about the future of the brand and the business?
I'm going to speak for myself that it's where Fara becomes accessible for everyone, and not necessarily more brick and mortars. We do nationwide shipping now. We are launching in supermarkets, which some, you'll get a handful of people that think that that's not the route to go. This business supported a family of 7, and then my nieces and nephews. So it's expanded. We're not doing anything else but Fara. So, but the army full of people think what we're doing is amazing. So the goal for me is for it to be accessible throughout the world, I guess.
The world, yeah.
Yeah, and depending if we can source the ingredients, because that's also something that is priority. If you cannot source the exact ingredients in a different state or whatever, then it's not happening, at least on my watch.
That's very smart to keep a very high bar for quality and consistency. And I will say, what matters is your way, the way that you think you should expand, the way that you believe you should distribute the product. There's always going to be naysayers, but as long as you trust your gut, I think you will be just fine. And I mean, this has been great. I'm honored to have had this conversation with you, and huge thank you for letting us into the Fara experience for a moment in time here. And we'll be rooting for you, and continue to see all the great things that you and your siblings, and then eventually your kids will do with the brand, and how they carry on the legacy of Dom.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here today, and I always love telling the story because it's just true and very special.
Amazing. And we'll definitely then follow your advice and make sure this makes it on social media, and make sure that some of the best clips of this story make it on there for you to share with your community as well.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you, Maggie. Have a great day. Appreciate your time.
Same. Thank you.
Yep.